Hey everybody, it's Monday morning. I'm on the way to work. It's a little darker than normal. A couple reasons for that. Primary reason is I'm leaving a bit earlier than normal. Leave early from work today. Secondary reason is it's really cloudy and raining. So hopefully there's going to be enough light for y'all to see me, basically, or if nothing else, through this window over here. So let's talk a little Star Wars. So over the weekend, I went to go see it twice. If y'all remember from video, last week, a couple weeks ago, we actually won tickets for the Saturday showing. We had already gotten tickets for Friday. We had a larger group of people going on Friday, and it was a blast. On Saturday, we won tickets from Verizon, and I noticed on the tickets that it was one of those, first come, first serve. You might want to be there an hour early type of a ticket. In other words, we may be giving out more tickets than there actually are seats in the theater. So we got there an hour and a half early, and we're like third in line, and the theater never completely filled up anyway, so we're like, yeah, we got here a bit early. But that's okay, because it was awesome. Thank you, Verizon, for the tickets and for the show. That was incredible, and really appreciate that. As far as the movie itself goes, so this is going to be my spoiler-free review. And I'm going to distinguish between my first and second viewing, because in my first viewing, I wasn't completely thrilled with it. I was mostly thrilled with it, and I was on the way home. I was trying to kind of rank it as to where I would place it in the pantheon of Star Wars movies, and at the time I was trying to figure out if it was better than Return of the Jedi, but I didn't think so, and so I rated it 4th overall. Definitely better than the prequels, most certainly better than the prequels, but I didn't think it was better than the original. And specifically why is because there are a lot of things that, based on the preview and based on some of the discussion early on, I wanted to know the answer to, and they never quite got to the answer of it. And I think this is mostly me needing to remember, hey, this is a trilogy. This is not a standalone film. This is a trilogy. Let's give it some time to answer all the questions that I have. And I knew that wouldn't answer every single question, but I wanted them to answer more. And secondly, and I'm going to word this spoiler free. There's a point where the climactic battle scene is clearly over, and there's quite a bit of plot left. And on first viewing, I'm sitting there kind of like, okay, is this movie still going? And so, because of those two reasons, I didn't think it was as successful as I had hoped, which isn't really true. My realistic hope for the film was that it was going to be better than the prequels, and so it hit that note perfectly. And so even leaving there, I was mostly thrilled with that movie, and would have rated it, out of 4 stars, definitely 3.5, 9 out of 10. I don't know, 95 out of 100. I don't know. And now, approaching it as a rewatch, just looking at it for purely rewatchability standards, knowing the plot, knowing what revelations I'm going to see and what revelations are going to be saved, it was considerably better. After the second viewing, I am now thoroughly thrilled about this film. And talking to my wife, we both had the same reaction to both viewings of it. And for both of us in the first viewing, we were going, yeah, that was great. And after the second viewing, we were after the second viewing, we were both, yeah, that was sincerely a great film. So, some stuff I liked about it. The special effects. If you just took a scene out of this movie and it didn't have the characters we all know, and it didn't have the Millennium Falcon, and it didn't have all those things that are distinctly Star Wars, if you just took a scene out of the film that didn't have the trademarks of Star Wars, you would still know that this was Star Wars. It looks like the originals with better special effects. And so the blending of the practical special effects plus very good digital effects was excellent. And there were pretty much every time hit the right note. The new characters, in the first viewing, I really liked Poe Dameron better than I expected to. I loved Rey. Finn was okay. Yeah, he's fine. By the second viewing, I'm now completely on board with Finn as well. BB-8 is just a thoroughly welcomed addition to the droid family. He's amazing. The old characters coming back are written perfectly, and not totally the way they were in the original trilogy. Stuff has happened. You know, life has gone on, and they've changed subtly. To the point where you recognize their character, but you also realize they've grown as people. C-3PO's introduction is just hysterical, and Anthony Daniels just knocks it out of the park again with that character. He's so dead on perfect with it, and the plot is very good and very appropriate. My only quibble with the movie is that there are a lot of elements that mimic Episode 4 too closely, and I might I'm kind of thinking about later in the week doing a spoiler review, in which case I'll be more specific about that. But when you watch it, I think you'll see where that is. And so the characters and special effects, the battle scenes are great. They're all very, very good. One thing that I really liked about it was that the lightsaber battles are an outgrowth of the original trilogy more than the prequels. And so the swordplay is clearly coming from a place where we left the characters instead of at the height of the Jedi Order, where they're doing all these crazy flips and super fast battle scenes. I generally love the lightsaber battles in the prequels. I thought those were usually one of the high points of the series, especially the two battles between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. Those were amazing. But what I think J.J. Abrams did was to look at the trajectory of the series, is that the world of the Force, the Jedi and the Sith, all took kind of a blow in the Clone Wars. And coming out of that, going into the original trilogy, they seem to have lost some of their power and some of their ability. And so Darth Vader, being mostly machine now, is not doing the crazy moves that Anakin was doing previously. Obviously, Obi-Wan is older and not doing the crazy moves that he was doing earlier. And Luke is just not trained to that level. So, moving forward, we have Luke, who is the last Jedi. And this is what we have of swordplay. This is what we are now able to do, is what he is bringing to the table. And obviously he's going to get better over time, and the swordplay does evolve and does grow. But it would have seemed awkward if we had jumped right into, crazy flips again. And so the sword battles in this episode are very good and very fun and very action-packed, and I liked them. But they're also very appropriate for the time period. And so all of that to say is that where we are in the timeline, the filmmakers seem to have considered that very closely. Where would we be in the wake of two devastating wars that have caused a lot of havoc and a lot of destruction, and have pretty much all but wiped out the Jedi. And so, if you haven't yet, if you're a Star Wars fan, I definitely recommend the movie. If you're a Star Wars fan, you've probably already seen it. If you're not a fan, first of all, if you haven't seen any of them, I put this on Twitter earlier in the week. I saw some people who were like bragging that they haven't seen Star Wars, which is like if I were bragging that I've never eaten tacos. It's like, it's just a sad statement. It's not something to brag about. And so, if you haven't seen the original trilogy, you need to. If you haven't seen the prequels, you don't necessarily need to. And that was my phone going off. Although episode 3 was very good. But I would certainly watch those before I watched episode 7. And then you need to, maybe over the Christmas break, you have a little time on your hands after you've eaten too much and have crashed out on the couch, go watch Star Wars. And then once you've done that, get up and go watch episode 7. And I think you'll enjoy it. So please subscribe. If don't want to necessarily promise a spoiler-filled review later in the week, but it's something I'm thinking about. I do have some other stuff planned coming up. We'll definitely talk again before Christmas. Have a good week, and see you in a bit.